Welcome to the January 7th, 2025 City Council meeting. Happy New Year to all. We'll start with the prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction, which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Belanja.
Here.
Council Chow. Council Dakota.
Here.
Council Getchia.
Here.
Council Janess.
Here.
Council Mercier.
Here.
Council Noon.
Here.
Council Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Rourke.
Here.
Council Scott. Council Yem.
Here.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for James Earl Carter, Jr., an American politician and humanitarian who served as the 39th President of the United States from 1977 to 1981. A member of the Democratic Party, he served from 1963 to 67 in the Georgia State Senate and from 1971 to 1975 as the 76th governor of Georgia. He was educated in the public schools in Plains, Georgia, attended Georgia Southwestern College and the Georgia Institute of Technology, and received his BS degree from the United States Naval Academy in 1946. In the Navy, rising to the rank of lieutenant. In 1946, he married Rosalind Smith, of which Rosalind died last year, and they were married for 77 years. On December 10, 2002, the Norwegian Nobel Committee awarded the Nobel Peace Prize to President Carter for his dedicated of uniting efforts, democracy and human rights, and to promote economic and social development. Until 2020, Jimmy and Rosalind Carter volunteered 1 week a year for Habitat for Humanity, a nonprofit organization that helps needy people renovate and build homes for themselves. President Carter also taught Sunday school in Plains, Georgia. The Carters have 3 sons and 1 daughter, 9 grandsons, 1 deceased, 3 granddaughters, 5 great-grandsons, and 9 great-granddaughters. He was a remarkable gentleman. We offer our condolences to his family, relatives, and many friends. I have more, but I think someone might want to comment on. Oh, did you want to say something? Oh, all right. I also would like to offer a moment of silence and darkened chamber for Raymond V. Ray Tremblay Jr., a well-known disc jockey. He was the beloved husband of Irene Cody Tremblay, with whom he shared over 60 wonderful years of marriage. Ray was born in Lowell in 1944 and graduated from St. Joseph's High School in 1962. He retired from Honeywell after 25 years. Ray began his disc jockey career of 65 years in December of 1959. At the age of 15, he played at the school dances, weddings, anniversary, fundraisers, and the list goes on and on. In 1968, he became the weekend voice for WLLH in Lowell until 1980, when he moved over to WCAP in Lowell, playing the Sunday morning oldies show until 1982. Ray was the DJ for the Draken and Lowell Senior Centers. He also served as president and DJ for the Senior Citizens Club in Draken. Ray received citations from the city of Lowell for his service of making the city a better place with music, and more so for seeing people dance. Surviving him, in addition to his wife Irene, are 4 daughters, Denise, Diane, Suzanne, and Rayanne, and 5 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. We offer our condolences to his family, relatives, and many, many friends. I'd also like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber to all those who passed away since our last City Council meeting, as well as expressing our heartfelt condolences to the families who suffered that devastating loss of 14 people in New Orleans. May they all rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anything else? Councilor Noon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To add to Councilor Murcia, moment of silence for President Carter, Jimmy Carter. President Jimmy Carter was a great American and an inspirational global humanitarian. President Carter's work on Cambodian issue reflect a broader commitment to human rights and humanitarian. After leaving office, President Carter continued advocacy for human rights through the Carter Center, further cementing his reputation as a global humanitarian. President Carter's leadership helped the U.S. resettle tens of thousands of Cambodian refugees who fled persecution and conflict, providing us with opportunity to rebuild our lives. The resettlement program included effort to integrate refugee Cambodian Americans into American society by providing resources like housing and education. President Carter lived his life with a great civic responsibility and took it upon himself to be the change he wished to see among others. He's a man of deep belief and did everything with principle and grace, doing everything right the way is the reason. I'd also offered a condolence to him and his family, to his family. Also a moment of silence for Joseph Joe Antonazio, 82, of Lowell, passed away peacefully surrounded by his loving family on Saturday, December 28, 2024, at home. He married to Chantip Chantarak, with whom he would have celebrated many loving years together. Born in Mount Vernon, New York, he was the beloved son of Joseph Antonazio and Maria Rita Antonazio. He graduated from high school. He is also graduated from New York University with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. He proudly served in the Air Force as a sergeant during the Vietnam War. As an electrical engineer, he has 2 patents. He was a proud community leader, integrated Southeast Asian refugees to their new home in America. He found the Southeast Asian restaurant and grocery store in Lowell, where the Tasty Dumpling is at currently, and operated for 24 years. He sponsored Lowell Monk in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He enjoys staying active with multiple business idea consulting as well as doing computer programming and software engineering. Besides his wife, he is survived by his son, Sam Antonasio of Lowell, Joseph Joe Antonasio of New Jersey, and his daughter, Pradip Antonasio of Chelsea, and Villia Wagner Gudalno of New Jersey, and his brother Michael and his wife, Machiko Antonasio of New York, his sister, Marilyn, and her husband, Michael Spear of Massachusetts, Linda Sala of New York, and 13 grandchildren and several great-grandchildren and several nieces and nephews. We offer our condolence to his family and friend. Next, Mr. Mayor, Dutch Dave passed away peacefully on December 30, 2024, at the age of 90, surrounded by her family. She was a loving mother, grandmother who lived through great hardship. Before the Khmer Rouge, she ran a small shop in Cambodia, providing for her 2 sons and daughter. Her determination helped her family succeed here in this country. In 1982, after enduring the nightmare of genocide, Dutch Dave made the brave decision to escape Cambodia, risking everything to give her children a chance at a better life. She successfully made her way to America with her 2 sons, where they rebuilt their life from the ground up. Her courage and persevering in the face of adversity remain an inspiration to all who know her. Throughout her life, Dutch Dave was known for her kindness, generosity, and deep love for her family. She was a directing force in the life of her children, grandchildren, always offer wisdom and comfort. Dutch survived by her sons, Timothy Singh and Kenny Singh, her daughter-in-law, Supia Singh, and 7 grandchildren, Devon Singh, Tara Hong, or 18 Middlesex Representative, Mr. Mayor, Jasmine Singh, Justin Singh, Samantha Singh, Panya Hong, and Benjamin Singh. We offer our condolence to his families and friends, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Clerk, please document the chambers. May they all rest in peace. Two Mayor's Business 2.1, communication remote, Zoom participation, motion to accept and place on file by Council Belanger, second by Council Getchell. Those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 2.2, communication.
Mayor, before we get into that, may I make a motion to take items 5.4 and 8.1 out of order?
By Councilor Janess, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.4, Councilor Janess and Councilor Getchell request city manager have proper department prepare a report on recent and continued failures in the new high school athletic center, as well as an action plan for repair and holding the developer accountable for this building and the rest of the project. No second needed. Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand there are some members of the school staff here. Like to, while we're under suspension of rules, if we could allow them to speak if they're interested.
Mr. Clerk.
The only ones that I have registered are Fred Bahu,
Good evening, everyone. I'm Fred Bahu. I live at 225 Gibson Street in Lowell, Massachusetts. I thank you for having me here. Mr. Manager, Mr. Manager's team, Mr. Mayor, fellow city council members, I'm here to speak on behalf of motion 5.4 by Councilor Janess and Councilor Getchell. This project is the most expensive school upgrade and renovation that this city has ever taken place. in my lifetime, we only have one chance to get it right. I understand projects of this magnitude can run into construction issues, delays, and cost overruns. My concern is that as far as the new Lowell High School athletic complex already has bleachers that cannot be pulled out and put back without tearing the floor that it sits on. This is an ongoing issue. We discussed this issue in January of 2024, and we've got a response this last meeting on December 18th that they contacted the bleacher project people, and they said they'd get back to us. That was from August, and unfortunately, they have not gotten back to us since August. So we cannot pull the bleachers out without tearing the floor. We now have a leaky roof on a brand-new building, which was not discussed, unfortunately, in the building subcommittee on December 18th. However, it is leaking, and the boys' locker room is now off limits. During our busiest time, we have basketball, we have wrestling, we have indoor track. This is a major issue. I mean, let's be real. We have a brand new building that's only 18 months old, and unfortunately, we're not able to use the boys' locker room. We have building subcommittees, and the building subcommittees happen every 2 months. This is a project that's $450 million and is costing all of us as taxpayers, an awful lot of money. My taxes have gone up in the past 2 years, 30%. And I know that's citywide. So I know we have one chance at this building, and it's something that we all want to be proud of. And we all want to send our students to, and we want to send them to this building, knowing that we did the very best that we did. Unfortunately, only half the project is done. So, with leaky roofs and bleachers that can't be pulled out and pulled in properly, there's much to be, considered. I also sit on Greater Lowell Tech. I'm sure some of you know that. And when we had a building subcommittee meeting, we did a renovation project for the building over there. It was a $55 million project, and we met monthly on it. Now, I know that this is such a large project, and we're meeting every 2 months, and unfortunately, things aren't being relayed to us, maybe as rapidly as it should be. So there is something that, I, as a school committee member and as a taxpayer, am hoping that we can go ahead and sort of work with this whole building team to get it done right and to get it done so we're all very proud of this project, rather than 20 years from now saying, oh, well, maybe we need to do it again. So thank you for allowing me to speak, and I wish you all the best on this motion.
Scott Olet.
Good evening, everybody. Scott Olet, 168 Hovey Street. Also work at the high school as the athletic director. So I have a lot of firsthand knowledge of a lot of what's been going on in the athletic center. And personally, when I go to work every day, the teachers, the coaches, the students, they come to me when there's a problem in there. And I don't blame them for that. And it's gotten to the point where it's almost a daily thing. There's something. And is any one particular of these issues, a lot of the issues, I should say, are maybe I would classify in the small or medium zone. But when you add them all up, and it's day after day after day, and then you have a big explosion like we had in the locker room or the bleacher situation, when you add all of these small, medium problems with the larger problems, that's when things really start to get exposed. And when you have simple things like door handles falling off or not being repaired, or shot clocks that won't work for a basketball game that just go and go and go. Students locked in bathrooms, have to call the fire department to get them out. People stuck in elevators. It's got to the point where, from where I stand and where I sit, we need someone from the city of Lowell who's paid by the city of Lowell, who has the interests of the city of Lowell, to go in there and go top to bottom through it with a better eye than what I have. You know, in my house, if a light bulb goes out, I panic. I can't do it. I can't change it. I'm not a handyman. We need someone in there very qualified who knows the codes, who knows good construction, and who can go in and point things out and defend the city of Lowell. That's what we need. Not someone who's a third party or who's kind of working for both groups and this and that, because it's gotten too bad. And it's every day something comes up in there. And I personally have hit my breaking point. I'm very frustrated. I'm here to advocate for the kids and the staff, and I'll be happy to answer any other questions that anybody might have, but that's my statement. Thank you.
Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week, I spent some time over at the Athletic Center and walked through with Mr. Roulette, Mr. Smulligan, Mr. Underwood, Mr. Leahy, who all work various roles for the school department with the facilities and operations. And it's important to note that all these issues we're talking about tonight are observed in the brand-new building that was put in place of the dentist's office on Arcan Drive. We're not talking about renovated space. And I also want to be clear that I'm not here to blame anyone for the current situation, not the school staff, not the students, not the project team, construction workers, or anyone else. My interest here is to call attention to these issues so we can all work together to develop solutions and work towards the school that our kids deserve. The team noted that the construction team has been quite responsive in coming over and looking at problems, but at the end of the day, we're still fighting many of the same situations that existed since the day the building opened. Walking around, many failures in the building seem to fall into three main categories for me, either design, architecture, and equipment failures, or fit and finish items, or operational challenges. Some of the design, architecture, and equipment failures we spoke about were the glycol system above one of the team rooms that leaked and completely destroyed the room. This was the locker room that Mr. Bahu spoke of. The ceiling, the drywall, all of it had to be torn out and replaced after this leak. There's an HVAC system that's above the athletics storage area on the other end of the gym. There's a condensate pump that sits right in the middle of all the expensive sports equipment. So whenever that fails, it's just going to flood all the expensive equipment. It already failed once over the summer. July 3rd, I believe it was, Mr. Roulette was in there trying to salvage all the equipment. Those condensate pumps, they fail all the time. They're a common failure point. So I don't know why it's right in the middle of all the storage. There's got to be a better way. People are getting stuck in the elevator multiple times. Mr. Roulette, I know, has been stuck in there on multiple occasions himself. The doorknob and lock failures throughout the building are persistent, leading to people being stuck in bathrooms, in closets for hours at a time, and the fire department having to come and get them out. This is not one door. This is not three doors. This is a lot of doors. There's something wrong with those lock sets or those handles, and we got to get to the bottom of that. Daylight is visible through several exterior doors that can't be secured properly, allowing water ingress, loss of heat. Up on the roof, or not the roof, sorry, but the space above the locker room where the glycol system that failed, there's a garage door kind of thing out to the outside world, and you can see daylight through that. And with the right wind direction, when it's raining, all that water is just going to come in there and then flood below. There's fit and finish things. There's equipment that's never been installed, a multifunction screen in the weight room that they've been waiting a year and a half since the building opened for. The mirrors in the weight room are installed all the way to the floor, so whenever anything drops and rolls to the wall, bumps into the wall, it breaks the mirrors. You know, and the answer has been to replace the mirror, so it just happens again. Little things like the Hall of Fame wall as you enter the gym was never painted. This is a focal point that everybody walking into the gym looks at. The plaques are up on bare drywall. First, you don't notice it, but when you do notice it, it's like, that was a miss. There's other places where it seems like maybe the wrong paint was used. They're showing an excessive amount of dirt and wear. There's a cracking concrete in the courtyard. There's poor finish on that concrete. There's floor seams, a vinyl overlay on the stairs is all pulling up. There's several spots where there's missing caulking, some cement blocks that were cut to improper size, insufficient anchoring, mounting to walls of other surfaces, whiteboards, shower benches, benches in the locker room. They're all pulling away from the wall or being torn up just by being used. I don't think that this is abuse or vandalism, as some have said. I think it's just not installed right. There's operational challenges. Mr. Roulette mentioned the shot clock. Well, the system that controls raising and lowering the basketball hoops and other equipment in the field house, it's flaky. There's 2 tablets on either end of the room that have been replaced multiple times. Sometimes one works, sometimes the other works. Doesn't seem like anyone knows how to reset the system to bring everything back online. So that's a challenge. They almost had to cancel a basketball game last week because one of the hoops was stuck halfway down. There's a garage door to that athletic storage that I mentioned earlier. You have to hold the button for 7 seconds before the door starts moving. 7 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but next time you go through a door, stop and hold the door handle for 7 seconds before you open the door. It will get annoying real quick. As I mentioned earlier, there are external doors that can't be secured properly because they're misaligned. You can see daylight through them. They can't be locked right. There's concern over the operational budget going forward. Just the filters for the HVAC and the water fountains are much more expensive than the previous setup in the old building. So going forward, really want to find out how we get all these issues resolved so that the building can be properly secured, is weatherproof, and can be used by the staff and the students in the way it was intended to be used without breaking down all the time, without turning to financial burden to operate before the project is even complete. And how do we ensure that we don't repeat these issues with the remaining phases of the project so we can be sure at the end of an almost $400+ billion project that the students, the staff, and the taxpayers of Lowell get a building and learning environment worthy of that investment, and we can be confident moving forward that it was done right. I just want to make sure that we take the time to get it right now, or we're going to be chasing this as long as that building exists. So, Mr. Manager, whatever we can do to start moving things in this direction. I don't know if this is something that the school building committee should be handling, if this is something the administration should be handling, but somebody's got to take point on this, and we all got to row in the same direction to get us where we need to go. Thank you.
Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Councilor Janess outlined everything very well, and he's much more of a gentleman than I am. I am here to blame people. I don't really care about their feelings. I don't care about any of that. They came in here and told us at one time, and Mr. Mayor, you were on a motion with me that we were going to see all change orders and everything as they appeared. I haven't seen one. Have you, Mr. Mayor? No. When we have an employee like Scott Willett, you know, he is the best in the business. You can look for the rest of your life to try to find one of him. Just to stand up here, you know what courage that takes in front of everybody? Well, people come here in their nice suits and they drove here and they're going to tell us whatever they think we want to hear, and they're going to tell us how great it is. And we even talked about those bleachers. We're going to rip that track before it was even put in, and we were told, nope, this is a great piece. It looks like somebody took Home Depot stuff benches and put it in a locker room. They fell off the wall as quick as they were put on. They don't even have legs on them. You know, what do we have weight limits on everything in there? Is it, you know, 125 pounds, anything over that, don't sit on this seat? It's sad when you look back, in May of 2022, I made a motion, City Council request update the council on plans for maintenance workers at Lowell High School in September. Request City Manager update the City Council on hiring of staff to maintain the renovated Lowell High School. October 4th, we were told, we don't need that. We got lands and buildings. They'll be able to do this. This is what happens when you don't oversee. I understand the MSBA pushes forward and says you need an OPM, but every time we've ever seen them come in here, there's a close relationship between them and the design team. Every single time. And one would question both ways, and I don't care if they like that or they don't like that. And then we sit here and we're like, okay, how are we going to maintain a 625,000 square foot building? We're going to do that from lands and buildings. Very interesting to me. I only do this for a living, while I listened to people who didn't do it for a living tell me that this was going to be perfect. Well, here we are with a frustrated staff. Do you think it's fair to him? It's getting ready, scheduling games and everything else, and trying to get something ready, and then being told by everybody you can't do these things? And now you're taking people in to see this beautiful place, and it's like this? And you have to be told. I went to people on the school building committee. Mr. Bahu's here. If he wants to come to the mic, I can ask him the question, as I already know the answer. Did you know of any of these things before these pictures were produced by kids, employees, everybody in the building who tries to use the building? I can give you the answer, no. I asked other building committee members, and I'm sure, Mr. Mayor, if I go through you and ask Mr. Baldwin, you're on that committee, right? The building committee? Were you aware of all these things? You know, the same answer. The same answer as everybody else. We watch the building committee meetings and we're not aware of it. So who does the OPM work for? Shouldn't they bring these things to you and say, we got a checklist that we got to go back over that needs to be done? Who's the design person that designed lagging those things like that into hollow block without legs on it, and it falls right off? Or door handles. It's a school. Door handles have to be of a certain standard so they don't break like they have breaking. Kids use door handles multiple times a day. And if they get broke, who's going to repair them that quick? That's their job, is to be a communications outfit. They're supposed to get to something and fix it right away as somebody says there's a problem. That's what we have to do where I work. Something breaks, we say we'll be right over to look at it, not let it rain in the building, things falling off, things leaning on stuff, and just leave it there. Somebody should respond and communicate back to the staff. It will be done by the end of the day. We will take somebody off of something and make this happen. That's what a facilities department does. That's why we have them. We take major investments. It's $400 million to renovate. That's not what the building's worth. Whether you have new construction or you're renovating, these things should not happen. And if they do happen, it's about the response that makes the difference. I'm sure if they responded right away, we wouldn't have seen Athletic Director Willett up at the podium. So obviously, there's something broken. And then we have a whole team up here tonight that's sitting here doing what? Going to tell us, don't worry about it. We got the checklist. Tomorrow we're going to get it. It shouldn't get to this stage, and it's sad that we're at this stage, especially with a building like this, and we better get a facilities department together real fast, and one person to look at HVAC isn't going to do it. I can tell you we lost the heat in the cafeteria yesterday at Greater Lowell. I am very thankful for my electrician and my HVAC guy who got it all up and running with portable units within 3 hours and got everything back to the heat that it needs to be. If you have to go to lands and buildings, you're going to take a long, long time. So somebody better manage and manage quick, because it's not working, and you can see it from the frustration. And if we lose an employee like that, that's pretty sad that somebody's at that frustration level that they have to come before a city council and push for us to do our job and everyone to do theirs. As Mr. Mayor, you know the person extremely well. This isn't his character at all, and it's sad that we're at this stage. Thank you.
Councilor Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too, with the overflow of calls, texts, and emails I received over the holiday season, on top of the motion that was filed, I took it upon myself to contact some facility members, and I too, as Councilor Janess did a walkthrough of the athletic center just over the weekend. Now, before I get into it, I don't want to take from the big picture here. This athletic facility is gorgeous. It is a modern 21st century facility, built for the future for many, many generations with all the modern bells and whistles. It really is overwhelming. However, there are some outstanding issues here that are deeply, deeply troubling. Now, as I walk into the facility over the weekend, the main entrance on Arcan Drive, I see a desk stacked right in front of the door. I'm like, what's a desk doing there? Well, the door don't work. Main entrance door does not work. If somebody pushes it open, it doesn't close properly, which therefore exposes the school. So they keep, the desk is probably there still now. It was there 72 hours ago. It's probably still there now. That needs to be corrected ASAP, number one. On top of 3 other interior doors in locker rooms with no doorknobs. People getting locked in bathrooms as was mentioned earlier, until facility member gets there in time to unlock the door for them to get them out. Tournaments being canceled, games being canceled because of roof leaks. I'm in a brand new locker room looking up. I see parts of the ceiling torn out and replaced already. I can't believe it. Go upstairs, the catwalk above, all sorts of equipment up there. I don't know where the leak's coming from. I can't determine that. I don't know if the leak's been fixed. I know the ceiling's been fixed. It's quite obvious. But has the leak been fixed? I don't know. If it hasn't, it's going to happen again. Very frustrating. Now, as to the elevator, in a brand new building now, okay, the staff, a couple of faculty members, I don't use it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't use it? I put my equipment in it, I hit the floor 3, and I take the stairs up in case I get stuck. Many horror stories, faculty members waiting hours to get relieved out of that elevator, including the fire department, including a special needs student getting locked in for a couple hours. Very troubling. Okay, the touch panel for all these, that operates all the equipment, the drapes and the basketball nets that come up and down. Again, this facility has everything, but it's no good if it's not working properly. Touch panels on both sides, inoperable. There's no training. These people have no training how to do it, how to operate it, how to reset it. Someone has to come in from the Midwest to address issues instead of a local vendor. So very troubling there as well. The bleachers that was mentioned, I saw personally 7 or 8 patches on a brand new track, roughly a foot in width. Brand new track, troubling. So every time these bleachers come in, out, it tears up the track. On a design, I don't know who did it, I don't know. What I do know is I want to correct it. And especially these leaks, these ceiling leaks are very, very troubling. The damage that it's caused to the equipment room and the locker rooms, I don't know, but I do want to report as to what caused it and what was done to remedy it. So, and then we have athletic director who's more or less should wear a tool belt instead of carrying equipment, okay? Because he's pulled out every way sideways to fix this. This isn't working. This is broken. This guy's stuck. Okay, when he should be concentrating and focusing on games, tournaments, and the kids. The contractors are right here, okay? The athletic director is, as his title states, an athletic director. Under him are coaches, teachers, and students. He's not a contractor. The contractor's right here. And that's who I want it done by. So we got some problems here. They fix reversible? Absolutely. But it seems, and to their credit, faculty members tell me that the contractors are very responsive. They're there almost immediately, in short order. Okay, and that's great, and I'll give them full credit for that. But it seems to be happening over and over again. It seems to be shoddy work and shoddy repair work. Unacceptable. So, again, I was just there over the weekend. I'm going back in 30 days, okay, to do the same walkthrough, same places, same footsteps. And if this work is not completed, consider these contractors. We'll see you again in 30 days, because I got all day. We'll keep going through this as much as you want. So that being said, what I'd like to see, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager's office, we need quarterly walkthroughs here. This has gotten out of hand. We need more frequent walkthroughs, progress, what's going on, what's been fixed, where we're at with the project, instead of this freelancing method that is not working. So that's what I recommend that we start doing. Members of the council, the building authority, contractors, administration alike, all engage and do a walkthrough on progress report, on maintenance, and where we are with finances and the project. I think it's absolutely necessary to this juncture, especially as we are in the 1922 building. And we think we got problems with new construction. This is where we need to really keep an eye on. So I am very concerned going forward. So I think I've made my piece known, and I want all this work done. I want what the taxpayers paid for and what these teachers and faculty and students deserve. Why are we mortgaged the city's future on this high school? This is not why. So that being said, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the Assistant City Manager. I don't think there's any more that I can add to Councilor Janessa, Councilor Getchia, Councilor Belanger's. It seems like I want the 80s gym back rather than the gym I'm looking at right now. That's how bad it is over there. That checklist that Councilor Janessa is close to 20. So I'd like an answer tonight. I know the contractor's here. I hate to put him on the spot, but I'd like him to come to the lectern, tell us what the plan is, how the communication between him and the school administration, facilities director, as well as the administration of the city. We're going down the wrong path here, folks. And I'm not feeling too optimistic and warm and fuzzy. If Councilor Belanger walked in there, and I haven't seen Councilor Belanger this upset in quite a long time. So if Mr. Dowd's here, if you could come to the lectern, I'd like to hear your response, please.
Just so I could before you go, Mr. Dowd, you know, we had a school building committee meeting on December 19th. You know, it's not even 3 weeks ago. It took less than a half hour. None of these issues were brought up. You know, we do rely on some, if not all, communication of what's going on. And to have to hear it, not coming from, you know, the group, the people that are involved in the project, it leads to distrust. You know, this is not the first time that you folks have been here on an unscheduled visit. The frustration that, you know, myself and others have shown here this evening, you know, going forward, you know, it hurts, the city, it hurts reputation of the companies that are involved in this, and to not have solid answers, you know, going forward. And as, you know, Councilor Getchia said, you know, we're almost 3 years in the filing motions and so forth. So, you know, not getting into some of the concerns at that school building committee meeting from December 19th. These here are separate and distinct from what we discussed on that date. But, you know, to the comments and points that were made earlier, you know, we really need to establish, you know, how things go forward and why a building less than 18 months old is facing the difficulties that it is. So with that being said, the floor is yours.
We can change our operating procedures regarding the school building committee meeting. All of these items are addressed every week in the owner architect contractor meeting that we have every Thursday meeting with the city manager's office, with DPW, with representatives from the school department, and they are all fully aware of those. So we can.
Not to cut you off, sir, but you know the door has been an issue for a year now.
Yes, and I have been speaking with Suffolk to get that addressed on a daily basis. We've been working on design issues.
So I guess the question would be is, you know, if it's been 8, 9, 10 months and you talk about it with them on a daily basis, how come it's not remedied?
I'd have to ask Suffolk.
You know, and I think that's where what that kind of answer is given to us. That's where everybody puts their head down and rolls their eyes. You know.
We're fighting on this project daily. This $381 million, it's a large project. There are all types of vendors we're dealing with. Some of them, unfortunately, create challenges, and we fight, all of us here, on a daily basis for this project. And I put my heart and soul into this job, and I grew up in Lowell. I understand what this project is for Lowell, and I put every ounce of effort I can into it, as does everybody here. Is it going perfect? No, not even close. But this is a very difficult project, and we work and do our best, all of us. Can it be better? Yes, and we will continue to do that. That's all I can say at this point.
Councilor Dakota?
I'm wondering if the makers of the motion, I'm wondering if we could have a facility subcommittee and have Suffolk come here so we can question them directly. When we're talking door handles for 10 months, are you kidding me? It's a joke. Absolute joke. So if the makers of the motion wouldn't mind having a facility subcommittee, and I'm sure you'll see the majority of this council be there, I would propose that. And actually, the joint, because Councilor Gitcha just brought up a good point, maybe the school committee as well.
Sure.
All right.
You know, and that's, you know, I don't think it's a request, it's more, you know, or an ask. You know, if it's something that has to be here in the council chambers once a month or once every 6 weeks to do something, but again, I think you've heard the concerns, it's not just tonight, right? It's been over months, and this is the brand-new part of the project, not even getting into going forward over the next, 24 to 30 months. So, that being said, Councilor Gitcha, want to wrap it up?
I think that we're micromanaging down to a level we shouldn't have to do. We hire an OPM through the state for that reason, and we need to get people over there. Through you, Mr. Mayor, could I speak to the DPW director, please, if he's here?
St. Cyr, before you go, Councilor Janess, you have something real quick, you said?
I just have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had.
I go after.
Apologize, I'm sorry.
One question. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. St. Cyr, thank you for coming here. Were you aware of all the outlines that were just given from Councilor Janess?
Yeah, I would say that it's an ongoing basis. The life of what goes on in the school as damage occurs. I mean, there have been several things during the course of all of this construction going on. It's something that we deal with on a daily basis, not just here, but across all of the schools.
The easy target is the kids. We say damage occurs. We call it shoddy work. I've been at a school for almost 4 years now, and door handles breaking isn't a normal. It doesn't happen normally.
I agree.
And normally what happens, I'm worried about the tail light warranty happening. And I'm worried about people leaving this scene and things falling apart. When you look at those stools that were put in and the way they were put in, they put screws into the mortar. They didn't even go into the hollow block.
Right.
And we have pictures of everything. So that's not even something that isn't even remotely done on a construction site. The oversight is not good on our end. And I've asked and asked for almost 3 years to have oversight on our end with a facilities person, facilities department in there 3 years ago, because we knew that this was going to happen. An OPM, your job can't entail this.
Right.
As much as people think that this is you have trash, you have recycling, you have streets, you have everything going on. You can't be at the high school 24 hours a day.
Right.
Your lands and buildings has 29 schools, as we've been well aware of from Mr. Golden saying this. We got 29 schools. What do you want us to do? Well, we want a facilities department. No, we can handle it out of lands and buildings. Well, we can't. As much as people think we can, and I'm sure you're in agreement, we can't.
Right.
We need at least 4 employees over there. As much as people want to say, oh, one can do it, one can't do it. I want to see the one person who can fix the HVAC, then is going to come down and fix a door handle right afterwards without calling someone else. Not going to happen.
Absolutely.
As much as we want to live in Fantasy Island and we want to hire more MIS people and we want to hit more people down at, throwing parties and everything. Well, these are our functions for our kids in our schools. And we've been fighting this since day one throughout all the schools. And here we are again and again and again. And we're saying this can't happen. If you knew, the manager knew, we should have known, or the school building committee should have known. And it's just, I think that the response is the problem. Something breaks, get down and fix it. Customer service. And I get leaks happen. Glycol does come through a ceiling sometimes. Things happen. It breaks. But I think if you had a good rapport with people, that guy over there, that athletic director, should never have to deal with this. Those calls should be right to you, and someone should be there within 15 minutes of when it happens. Get them over there. And that's the response problem we're having. He's the best in the business. He's the best athletic director in this state, is sitting right there frustrated before this city. You look at the teams that he coached and the people that he produced and where they went and everything, he understands that he shouldn't have to be worried about this. And I'm just shocked that this is the first time that this council heard, but we were told that the administration knew. That's the hard part of this. The administration knows, and this is the first time the council's told, because we have kids and people who want a better place for long term. And I'm very worried about the taillight warranty happening to us. If we don't get out and check things, we look at the pumps over there that are mechanical pumps that are problems right now. Those are the major problems.
Sure.
And some people are talking about seats that break off a wall. Well, I'm worried about the mechanical pumps that are going to cost us, and we won't have the staff to even repair them. We should have had people in those buildings being trained at the same time as all that equipment went in the building. 3 years ago when I asked these questions, and I will produce all of the videos where I asked these questions across, and we're told we didn't need it. And now we don't even know how to operate elevators. We don't know how to run anything over there. I'd be shocked if we have people who can run that HVAC system right now. And we should have been trained all the way through. So that doesn't go back to, either one of the contractors that are there. It comes back to us. I thank you. I wish we would all knew. I think everybody here, Councilor Belanger, Councilor Janess, I think we should have known all of this. But thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your patience.
Councilor Janess?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real quickly, those OAC calls that happened on Thursday, are there minutes taken from those calls? I'd like to request that we all be given copies of those, as well as the building subcommittee on the school side, because if that's how we're going to be learning about stuff, I realize it's, as Councilor Gitcher said, I feel like we're micromanaging at a level we shouldn't be, but I feel like it's come to this, that I want to be able to read those minutes on a weekly basis and understand the conversations that are happening so we don't get these surprises as we move down.
Second.
All the meetings are they're posted and they're viable to the public to watch at any time on LTC. They're all there. It should be that.
I don't believe the OACs are.
Oh, okay. Yeah. School Building Committee. Is that you talk about?
I'm specifically asking about those Thursday calls. I'd like to understand those conversations.
Mr. Machado?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. So we provide the SBC a brief summary of the OAC meetings. We can get that to the council.
Thank you.
One last question I have, Mr. Dowd. Just, another thing that's been coming up multiple times is the bleachers and then the roof. Is there an update on those?
Yes, the roof, the leak in the locker room was not a roof leak. It was a Victaulic fitting as part of the HVAC system. It was addressed, Pat, the day of? The day of, and then they immediately went in and repaired, started the repairs on the ceiling. There was a mechanical room above the locker room, and there was a Victaulic fitting that failed, and it was immediately addressed by Suffolk. Regarding the bleachers, the bleacher contractor is going to be on site tomorrow morning to install a limiting switch on several of the bleachers that wasn't originally installed, that was supposed to be installed. They've been trying to get him out here for a year. They've actually finally got him lined up for tomorrow, and we'll be on site to install that fix, and that may be a solution to the flooring. We'll see tomorrow. The bleachers are operable and are used for games. They do, unfortunately, there is, when they lock up, there's a tear in a few locations, and we've had to make repairs to those. That is the extent of those two issues, Mr. Mayor.
And then, I know as you talked about before at the meetings, there's a running punch list that I'm sure you hear about all the time. Is that updated at every school building committee meeting, or is that something that,
That is in the school building committee meeting. There is an active QHUC list as well as a punch list. We also have a meeting every other Monday morning with head of school Mr. Fiato, as well as Assistant Superintendent Roberge, and Mr. Underwood from facilities. We have that every other Monday morning at 9 a.m. Addressing all of the active issues in the school.
Thank you. So, Mr. Machado, you'll reach out to coordinate the subcommittee stuff? Great. All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. It's being past 7 o'clock. We do have to take the public hearing quickly. 4.1, National Grid requests installation of underground electric service on Boston Road from Plain Street 75 feet south. Second reading and a motion to refer to a wire inspector for a report recommendation. Oh, sorry. First off, speak all those in favor. In favor. In favor.
Is a person from Zoom on? Hello? Cortez, Mr. Cortez?
Yes, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was watching Channel 6 and I guess it's behind. I did not realize we were already at this point. Were there any questions about the project?
Thank you. That portion of the meeting is closed. Also, opposition. That portion of the meeting is closed. Motion by Councilor Mercia to send to the water inspector for report recommendation. Seconded by Councilor Yem. Is there a roll call on that?
No.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Heading back to 8.1.
Oh.
8.1. 8.1 is,
Mayor, I was going to say, after 8.1, do you mind if we take 7.4 out of order, please?
sure. 8.1, Parks Recreation Subcommittee, joint with Finance Subcommittee, December 11th, 2024. Chairwoman Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Wednesday, December 11th, in the City Council chamber, we held a joint subcommittee meeting of the Finance and Parks and Recreation to discuss the capital improvements at Colley Stadium. Present were all members. Chair of the Finance Subcommittee were Councilor Scott, Chair, the Councilors Dakota and Councilor Janess, Parks and Recreation, myself, Councilor Belanger, and Councilor Getchia. Also present was DPW, Mark Byrne, Matt LaLasha, Chairman of the Lowell Athletic and Activities Foundation, Brian Burns, Jacobson, OPM of Sarcotech Engineering, Scott Willett, Athletic Director, Yvonne Byers-Rose, Assistant City Manager, Director of DPD, and Austin Bell, Assistant Finance Director. We began the meeting, which was an hour and a half. That's why we didn't have it on a Tuesday, because we wouldn't have been able to fit all that talk in, with a PowerPoint presentation by Yvonne Byers-Rose about the capital improvements at Martin Athletic Complex. Improvements was the focus for many years, such as the football and soccer fields, as well as the structure itself. Yvonne Byers-Rose outlined the next phases of capital improvements, which would be funded, that included a master use plan and a grant secured by the Lowell Athletic and Activities Foundation for structure. The next phase would include construction of a training center, followed by different options for the remainder of the facility. We had success, but more work needs to be done. Recent investments included $2 million for the Billy Rigos Field to replace the turf, $2 million on the Lucas Cavallo Field for new turf. Also, we just had a grand opening event, and the field is tremendous. $250,000 for a stadium structural assessment of the grandstands. We learned about the master plan for the entire complex. $200,000 worth of funds secured. Lowell Athletics and Activity Foundation, $3 million federal earmarked for grandstand secured. Capital investment in construction for the training center, $4.8 million. Matt LaLasha commented on the importance of building the training center, which would be a multi-use for multi-organizations. Mr. Jacobson commented on the training center plans, noting the feasibility study, construction planning, rendering use plan, and budget. Councilor Getchia made suggestions for a different layout of the facility in regards to restrooms and locker rooms. Austin Bell provided the debt service for the facility over a 30-year period. Mr. Jacobson indicated completion of the training room on or about July of 2026. All committee members had questions and concerns, and they were answered. Having discussed design, budget, locker rooms, lack of showers, use of plans, etc., Yvonne Byers-Rose proceeded to the second part of the presentation regarding the redesign of the grandstand. Mr. Jacobson, the OPM, outlined the 5 options for the remainder of the complex. He provided cost estimates for each option from $9 million to $42 million. Ms. Bias-Rose indicated that this would take 2 to 3 seasons to construct. More questions arose. Matt LaLasha commented on his organization's funding efforts. Considering we cannot complete or afford the whole completed package here, we felt we could start somewhere. And as Councilor Dakota recognized, the committee and this council and previous councils, this council has a lot of information to digest. Now, this is the important part. A motion was made by Councilor Dakota and seconded by Councilor Giccia to recommend moving forward with development and construction of the training center at the Martin Athletic Complex. It was adopted per roll call and received 6 unanimous votes. However, we are only 6, and this is simply our recommendation. And there are 11 members on this council. I would like to bring this motion forward for the whole city council and vote. And I believe this is a $4.8 million training center. And if anybody has any questions concerning the money part of it, Austin did a tremendous job at our subcommittee. So I'm asking if we could bring this motion back, which would be to recommend moving forward with the development and construction of the training center at the Martin Athletic Complex. That's in the form of a motion.
Seconded by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor say aye.
No,
The motion passes.
I need a roll call.
Roll call, please, Mr. Clerk.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow. Counsel Dakota.
Yes.
Counsel Giccia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott. Counsel Yem.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you so much. That was a very in-depth, knowledgeable. I mean, I could have went on, but I think half of you would have fell asleep, but that's all right. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Councilor. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, if I get Matt LaLasha to the lectern for 1 second. I know during our subcommittee, we had a couple of questions, and Councilor Giccia had brought up a couple of good points concerning maybe tweaking the locker rooms and the bathrooms. How are we doing with that, Matt?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for their support for this project and the unanimous vote to move forward for the kids of the city of Lowell. At that subcommittee meeting, there were some very good suggestions from a number of different individuals who were there. And so going back and looking through those, we were able to make some changes that expanded a little bit more locker room space, expanded more bathroom space, things that we knew would be most beneficial to the kids, and we look to see some other solutions on other things like concession stand areas that could be done in a more cost-effective way and in a different way. And so it was a very productive meeting and really government working at its best, where a lot of good ideas came together and we came back with a better plan.
That's good to hear. Fantastic. You guys did a great job in your presentation as well, so thank you very much.
Great. And, way up there, Mr. Lash, I just want to thank you and your group. This has been about a 5 or 6 year project now. When we first started it, I know that Mr. Byrne, who should be retired down in Florida right now, continues to give back to the city on a volunteer basis, as you and everybody else associated with this project does. So thank you for all the work that's been put forward, and hopefully the vote that we took tonight gets the set it going. So.
Yeah, and I would like to take 2 seconds to recognize everybody from the city. Assistant City Manager Baez-Rose has been very instrumental in the process. The architect, Pat Ty, has been unbelievable at pro bono at the beginning and working through at different points to try and help get this started. Mr. Byrne has been a godsend to this operation and keeping everything moving. And I would say Brian Burns-Jacobson has been fantastic to work with on the OPM side. So really, it has been a collaborative group, and it's been great to see everybody rallying behind this. And this is just the next step. We got more to go.
If you start building high schools, let us know, okay?
I tried that in 2017.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. 8.2, a couple of weeks, Councilor Giccia. All right, so with that being said, motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Councilor Janess, seconded by Councilor Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Councilor Robinson, 7.4, a vote.
Yes, please.
You want to take them all at once? Or you want to talk on that one alone?
Sure, we can bundle them all. Make a motion to bundle votes 7.1 to 7.5, please.
Second.
By Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Yam. Votes for the city manager, 7.1, accept and expend $214.30 FY 25 State 911 Department grant. 7.2, accept and expend $790,957.53. Shannon Grant Community Safety Initiative. 7.3, accept and expend $82,895. Hartford Foundation for Public Giving Grant. 7.4, authorize city manager to execute parking agreement with 495 Chrysler Jeep Dodge. And 7.5, confirm the vote to apply to expend $978,120 MVP grant. By Councilor Robinson, second by Councilor Noon. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow. Counsel Dakota.
Yes.
Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott. Counsel Yem.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Returning to the mayor's business portion of the meeting. 2.2, communication from the Northern Middlesex Council on Governments, NEMCOG, Executive Director's Report. Council Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted to try to add this as a regular item to our agendas, just to run through the highlights of the NEMCOG Executive Director's update, just so we can all have a better idea of what NEMCOG is working on and what opportunities may exist for the city. This is actually the report from November of '24. There has since been a December one, and I'll try to get that on for next week. But just real quick, some of the things that NEMCOG tackled in November under the transportation planning heading. They were meetings that were held for proposed amendments to the federal fiscal year 2025 Unified Planning Work Program, which kind of governs all of the transportation work that NEMCOG works on. There's continued work on updating the public participation plan, draft to be presented January 2025. Published requests for proposals for the Northern Middlesex Regional Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan. Launched an RFP for a new NEMCOG website to improve accessibility and digital engagement tools. Concluded the 2024 traffic counting season, submitted data to MassDOT, support the LRTA with passenger counts, bus stop inventory, and safety assessment for bus stops across the region. Some of the regional planning and collaborations received 25 project ideas from 8 municipalities for the 2025 call for planning assistance and project ideas. I'd be interested to know if there's any Lowell ones in that. Awarded a $95,000 grant to establish a regional housing support organization pilot program. Supported communities in submitting Green Communities annual reports and attended the Green Communities Summit. Submitted an EPA Brownfields community-wide assessment grant application. Provided feedback on the comprehensive climate action plan. Analyzed feedback for the at-home and Greater Lowell regional housing strategy, and finalized phase 2 plans. Engaged with stakeholders for the comprehensive economic development strategy for 2025 through 2030. Finalized the revised MOU for the Northern Middlesex Stormwater Collaborative. Under the community assistance headline, they've assisted Dracut and Billerica with multifamily zoning compliance for MBTA communities. Supported Tingsboro, Chelmsford, and Pepperell with their housing production plans and community projects. Hopefully that will take some of our burden off the housing stretch, or the housing crisis here. Facilitated a workshop with Westford staff to develop their climate action and sustainability elements. Contracted with Dunstable to study the feasibility of a town center trail loop. Under the GIS and data sharing bullet, we've got commenced phase 3 of the Mass Trails statewide database grant project. Updated various GIS data sets for regional communities and provided support for data sharing and IT security improvements. One other item that the director asked me to share is that NEMCOG is working with a group called Fourth Economy on the next 5-year comprehensive economic development strategy, planning for stakeholder engagement in March on that, and they hope to have city staff and officials participate in that process. Former Lowell employee Chris Hayes is the primary point of contact on that project. That's a brief summary of this. Appreciate that we have the whole executive director summary attached to the meeting agenda, so anybody who's interested in diving in on any of that can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, and for serving on the NEMCOG board. 2.3, informational Golden Gloves tournament. We are going to have Mr. Bob Russo and Mr. Keith Rudy here this evening. They are both under the weather. We hope that they feel better soon. But just asked me to pass along a couple of notes. The New England Golden Gloves start this Thursday, January 9th. It goes every Thursday until March 6th. Doors open at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium at 6:30. First fight is off at 7:30. They are still looking for any available sponsors, or if anybody wants to get in touch to help out, more than well. They're going to come back in a week or two. But once again, the gloves start this Thursday the 9th. 7:30 is the opening bell. So thank you very much. The motions to accept 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and place on file by Councilor Getchia, seconded by Councilor Yem. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 3, City Clerk. 3.1, minutes of the City Council regular meeting December 17th for acceptance by Councilor Belanger, seconded by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5, City Council motions. 5.1, Councilor Getchia requests City Manager have the City Solicitor provide the City Council an update on the rodenticide ordinance, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Councilor Getchia.
Rodenticide, Mr. Mayor.
The first one of the year. You put it right to me, Councilor, right?
I thought it was
I know
good.
what you were doing, by the way.
I thought it was
know what you were
good.
doing, yeah.
I thought it was very good.
Making me say it, yeah.
Just quickly, as we look at this ordinance, it's very important to our community to get going on this. We currently have some very impressive wildlife in our city, and many residents probably have already seen them. There's some bald eagles in the city that are running around. We have hawks and owls, and there's much more to that. There are a pair of bald eagles nesting in Lowell, and there are many bait boxes nearby where they live, and they go for the prey. Over 75 communities and organizations have joined the effort in Massachusetts to remove or restrict the use of escars in their community. See how, Mr. Mayor, I didn't even try to use that word. Brookline, Newbury, Allenton, and there are many more. These birds live to 10 to 15 years in the wild. Just 2 birds eat 40,000 to 60,000 rodents a year. Without them, there would be 40 to 60,000 more rodents in our area. As we look, just recently, there was a fox that ate something that had an escar in it and was very sick, and they thought it was mange, but it wasn't. It was caused by that. And as you look through, we're just hoping that we can get this moved as fast as possible. But through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city solicitor, Mr. Solicitor, what is the quickest time frame that you think that we could put this together? And I'll provide you some of the other ordinances from other communities.
Solicitor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the board. This is on the agenda for the board. Bless you. This is on the agenda for the Board of Health tomorrow night, and they're going to provide a report with a recommendation. I suspect it will be in line with how most of the conversations have gone up to this point about moving forward without the rodenticides and the escars. So once I have some information from the Board of Health and any other information that you had indicated you'd pass along to me, 1-2 weeks, no problem. I can put the ordinance together and put it out in front of the body for a vote.
Okay, I thank you for putting this forward, because I think it's imperative that we get this going for the wildlife in the city. And realistically, I've talked to many pest control companies, and they say that there are other ways to do the same thing without using them. So, Mr. Solicitor, I thank you in advance for trying to push this forward. I think it's an important piece for our city to try to keep our wildlife in place, and if they are alive, it will keep the rodent population actually down more than it would if we didn't do anything at all. So thank you again, and I want to also thank Joanne Dawson and Emily for their push to get this done. I think that it's imperative that she drove over and dropped off a packet to me this morning at 8 a.m. just so that we could have the proper information to try to push this forward for the council, and I just want to thank them for their hard work. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.2, Councilor Getchia. Request City Manager have the proper department look into adding speed bumps on, I'm going to make the West Meadow Road, Councilor, and in front of the Pawtucket Memorial School. So the change to the motion by Councilor Getchia, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Seconded by Councilor Dakota. Councilor Getchia.
I apologize to any of the residents on Westview. It was a typo. It was supposed to say West Meadow Road. As I was over there the other day looking at some of the issues, you could see as they're dropping off students the speed that goes by there. And I think in all of our schools that are on main roads, we should look into something like this, or all of our schools, to see, do they fit within. But this case, when it's drop off and pickup time, it seems like they're moving along. And I'm sure, Mr. Mayor, you can attest to that. But I would caution that we speak to the neighbors first and make sure that this is something that they see also. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So, Michelle, I just put the speed bumps right in front of 265 West Meadow Road. It'll be all taken care of at that point in time. So, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.3, Councilor Getchia.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
We combine 5.3 and 5.9.
By Councilor Dakota, seconded by Councilor Getchia. 5.3, Councilor Getchia requests city manager of the Property Department provide the city council a report on heating issues at the Pawtucket Memorial School, including all school duty requests, resolutions of each, and the date of the request. And then a motion 5.9 by myself, request city manager review heating/cooling conditions at the Pawtucket Memorial School, both seconded by Councilor Dakota. Councilor Getchia.
This motion is really just a follow-up motion. We met at the Pawtucket Memorial last summer, and as a follow-up, I would like to see if we made progress. As we were told, as you know, Mr. Mayor, we're just looking to see, okay, what is the progress and are we moving forward? What's the time frame for some of the other issues to be resolved? So teachers have reached out to us saying that they've put in requests and they're just not being managed correctly. And again, it goes back to that whole communications things, and maybe it is being in there, not there. So I just would like to see the report on these things. Thank you.
Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In fact, Councilor Getchia and myself visited the Pawtucket Memorial last week. In one of the classrooms, actually, Councilor Getchia took a temperature, which I believe might have been close to 100 in the room. Notwithstanding that it's not a regular classroom, it's kind of a made-up classroom. It's 12 feet wide by 25 feet long, but there's no vent in the room at all. So Mr. Underwood said he would talk to Mr. St. Cyr, so I hope that's in process of getting rectified. But as Councilor Getchia said, receiving quite a few calls from the teachers there on the heat. Some of the kids are in classrooms that are 50 degrees. Some are in there in the 90 degrees. But Mr. Underwood was with Councilor Getchia and myself and said that the issue should be rectified. And if he is here, if he'd like to come to the lectern and let the public know that they are working on them, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Underwood.
If we could wake up Mr. Underwood and then bring him to the lectern.
It's getting late. So, thanks, Mr. Dakota. Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I was double dipping here, doing something else. So I was glad to meet you there and do that tour, which is we're approximately looking at about 6 rooms right now that are having some difficulty with controls in the classrooms. We've made great progress, what I consider great progress in the last year and a half in that school between the new boilers. Chillers are set to be completed in 2 weeks, but probably won't be on load. All of these air conditioning and HVAC components that we're doing all are going to help combat the other problems we have now, things with moisture and whatnot. So happy to answer any other questions.
That makeshift classroom, Ricky, that they were using, there was like 100 degrees. Are we putting a vent in that room?
Yeah, so I visited that room later on that day, and again, every day since then. This morning, it was at 69.2 degrees. The teacher thought it was great. That was 1054. That was the smaller room that used to be the older. Yep. So we did not correct the problem. We alleviated the heat by shutting off the fan motor.
And then turn it back.
So it is with your thermostat, it is dropping heat at the register, but we'll be able to control it by shutting off the fan. We hope in the next couple of weeks the controls work. We'll be able to rectify that. We had another classroom that was extremely hot, 1073, that we were able to self-regulate until those control repairs happen. Where right now we're just self-regulating that by turning the unit ventilator off directly in the classroom, on and off. So not a perfect world, by no means at all, but we are combating it and keeping them comfortable until we can get the controls fixed.
Okay. Because I did want to speak to some of the teachers, and I asked them to, when they had concerns, to CC the city council as well, so we're aware of what's going on. So just so we can keep the communication open with the school department and the city council.
Yeah. I also gave them all my personal phone number in case they need to get a hold of me.
That's a bad move, Rick.
It's okay.
Councilor Belanger.
I don't sleep much anyway.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I thank Mr. Underwood for the report. I thank him for his work, along with former Councilor Leahy and Commissioner St. Cyr. Sounds like some progress is really being made there, and that's important. But Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, Mr. Machado, please refresh my memory. We recently spent a big expenditure there, it's like $700K. Was that on the boiler, or what did we do there?
Mr. Machado?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's close to $750,000 for the chillers.
Oh, for the chillers, okay, all right. Okay, well, it sounds like it's, they're up and running properly, and so, okay, great work, still work to be done, but I'm pleased with the progress. Thank you very much.
Councilor Getchia.
Could we just call Commissioner St. Cyr up to the mic for a minute? Commissioner St. Cyr, when we walk through there, there are a lot of air purifiers in there, and they don't have changed filters. And what we were told is we don't know who pays for them because they were opera money purchased. And the replacement filters, does that end up on the school side or does it end up on the city side? And who actually checks them and replaces them? Is it something that a custodian can do? Is it something, who does it?
So they seem to be haphazard across the entire district with where you'll find them. And I think there's just, for some people, they feel, better with having them in the room. We're happy to provide the filter as, as needed for any of them. That's not a problem.
Do you guys have them? The filters?
Depending on the type, Metafies. We had purchased them when I was on the school side, actually, through the schools. They went through on that side. But we can get Metafy.
Yeah, if Mr. Underwood could comment. It's just a concern, because you saw the one I opened up, I was like, whoa.
So the air purifiers throughout the classroom, there was almost a little over 1,000 of them bought during COVID. During COVID, it was a recommended by this, it was a CCD, to have them in the classrooms. It was not a requirement, it was a recommendation. So knowing we had problems in our schools with our ventilation and heating, and some of our older schools didn't have any ventilation at all, we purchased them for every single classroom in the district. We also bought filter changes for approximately about a year and a half. But the filter changes for 1,000 air purifiers is $10,000 a year. 3 filter changes, saying it's $30,000 a year for things. So because it was not a requirement, and we decided we were not going to, and when I say we, the school department, we're not going to continue to buy those air purifier filters for them. We said to the teachers and the staff, you're welcome to keep them in there, but we're not going to continue to buy the filters for them. We just don't have it in our budget to So again, if they want them, they're welcome to have them. They're welcome to, if the city wants to buy them. In our school operating budget, we can't afford $30,000 a year for the filters. So welcome to have them.
And I'm sure you can see where my concern is, because we gave them to somebody and now we're saying, okay, you go out and buy the pencil for the classroom or the crayons for the kids.
Sure.
I don't know what the answer is. That's why a facilities department to me always makes more sense, because then I could say, okay, here it is. I don't know what the solution is, but when you look at it, it looks worse than a vacuum cleaner and you saw it when you pop it open. Right. It's tough. We should unplug them then and just get rid of them, or we should try to give them the resource. And I know it's off topic, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry about that, but it just was concerning when you walked in there and it had that much dust in the thing, and you're like, okay, so who actually is responsible for it, and who's going to store them, and how many are out there? And that was what the question was. And I don't know, maybe Mr. Baldwin knows. Is there like a grant or something that goes for these filters, or is it because I don't know. It seems like it's an expense that we took on and we just didn't finish with. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure if that's something that would ever finish, Counselor, either. I think that's part of the problem. And I think to that end, and something I didn't get to bring up, we very oftentimes walk into a classroom and there's a rogue air purifier in it. It's not one that we purchased, and we found that in different locations, so I'm happy to identify.
No, I agree with that. If the city purchased it, then it should be on the city for the filter. If someone just went out and bought one, then it's on them. But if not, then we should make up something to say, hey, look, we're going to have to take these out because we purchased them. That's all. And thank you again.
Sure.
I will say I did hear from a teacher from Pawtucket Memorial today. She was very thankful to see Mr. Underwood there recently, and she had told me that she had given Mr. Leahy a punch list of a bunch of things a couple of months ago, and he was there the next day or two and had it all taken care of. So obviously there is progress going on over there, and thankful for all the work being done. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.5, Council Janess. Request City Manager, Property Department report on the effectiveness of the registration and maintenance of vacant commercial properties ordinance adopted by the City Council in December of 2023. Seconded by Councilor Robinson. Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Someone recently asked, what's the city council doing about empty storefronts? And I mentioned that we had passed this ordinance about a year ago, and hadn't heard anything back about what we've done since then, what kind of impacts it's had. So I just wanted to get an update for everyone on the council so we could all understand where that's at. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.6, Councilor Dakota. Request city manager update regarding Smith Baker Center. Seconded by Councilor Yem. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Assistant City Manager Machado, do you want me to hold off on this motion until City Manager Golden's here, or do you have some type of an update of what's going, or Ms. Baez maybe, what's going on at the Smith Baker Center? I heard that there was a possible group that was looking at, if you could just give us a quick update, or I can wait. It's up to you.
Ms. Baez Rose.
Yeah, I'm happy to do a brief answer, but there is another motion that somebody put forward that I can't remember that I also have been waiting on to respond when we had our structural report back. There is a group that has expressed some interest in potentially acquiring the building for the possibility of a museum space. That process, just given the fact that it's a city-owned property, would still have to follow our normal procurement process. And so we've been working on getting the structural engineering report back to have a better understanding about how the building sort of is to date. That final version of that report actually hit my inbox earlier today, so I haven't had yet an opportunity to fully look into it yet, but the building's pretty rough. Our plan is essentially to package that information along with a potential RFP, and if people are interested, they can sort of take the building off our hands for a significant it's going to be an uphill battle for anybody.
I guess I'm looking at a timeline here. I mean, this is getting frustrating.
We have a report that, like I said, hit my inbox today that I think will give the council some information regarding potential cost to hold on to the building further, and what minimum effort will be required to be invested into the building if the plan is to keep it standing.
Can you expect an update next Tuesday?
I should be able to, as long as I can get my hands around the report.
Thank you very much.
And Councilor Dakota, I'm not sure if you remember, but when we were in Toronto with the Front Runner City stuff, Smith Baker was brought forward for a possible property, right? So
right.
I know it's on Ms. Baez Rose to do it now, but it's something that if taken off our hands and put to good use could be.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But I thought I read in the paper some time ago where it was brought in for a review to analyze the building and see not just the cost, but to see what the structure was about. The main part that I'm concerned about is the foundation structure. What good is this building if the foundation is shot and it's not feasible to, I mean, it's one thing if you're going to try to put money into it, but if you have a solid foundation, that's a good thing, but we don't know that because we haven't had a report. So that's what I'm concerned about, the foundation structure. How is it? Thank you.
Councilor Belanger.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate the repetitive motions on behalf of Councilor Dakota. It's important. I mean, as we see it now, there's Jersey barriers outside that taking parking spaces due to crumbling infrastructure, and it's only going to get worse. So I'm anxiously awaiting to see this structural engineer's report. Everything revolves around that. Everybody's got ideas, but if it's not structurally sound, then it needs to come down. So that being said, Mr. Mayor, through you to Giovanni, your Assistant City Manager, Sean Machado, we have an approximate cost on raising that building right now?
Baez Rose.
We did not ask the structural engineers to give us an estimate on actual demolition costs.
I understand. Okay.
We have made the assumption that there is hazardous material, lead and asbestos in the building that would need to be abated in advance of a demolition, and then given the location and how tight the kind of space is, that we'd probably be around $1 million
Yeah.
minimum,
That's not-
probably,
that sounds-
in
sounds
order
right.
to take it down.
Yep. Okay, I mean, it has no value. It's been sitting there for a number of, there's been dozens of motions over the years. If it's not structurally sound, then I think we should immediately begin on RFP to raise the building and find the money somehow. Then a vacant lot becomes valuable. Then there's all sorts of possibilities. But right now, we got nothing. So I'm anxiously awaiting myself, and I look forward to the report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion passed. Oh, Councilor, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment. This is a motion request, a motion by Councilor Dakota. So, I'm looking forward for the motion response. I think it's too premature to ask Ms. Rose and Mr. Machado to detail what the structural report without seeing it. So I'm looking forward to see the report maybe next week or the week after. I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.7, Councilor Robinson requests city manager work with the appropriate partners to review our festival and event safety protocols and provide the council with any recommended improvements. Second by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Motion speaks for itself.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.8, Councilor Robinson requests city manager have department departments provide an update report on ARPA allocations. Seconded by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Robinson.
Motion speaks for itself.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Moving on, 6, communications from the city manager. 6.1, motion responses. A, barrel requests. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I thank you for the response. I understand how it works. Increased usage in the summer, they put up more barrels. But I mean, I think I filed multiple motions about this, just Bridge Street alone. I mean, if you walk up Bridge Street, you see the amount of debris and garbage that's on the side of the roads, and there's no barrels to be found from pretty much CVS all the way up to Market Basket. There's no barrels along that stretch, and there's many areas like that where we have small businesses where people might walk, high pedestrian traffic areas. You stop at CVS, maybe grab a drink, or 7-Eleven to grab a drink. There's nowhere to even throw your garbage away, so it ends up on the floor over there. And it hardly ever gets cleaned, that whole stretch. I think this kind of motion, shouldn't we have like a running list with locations that barrels and how many are getting put out in what locations for a response, so that way we know and we can adjust accordingly? Because I mean, it's not just the volume of parks. So like, perfect example, a ball field obviously is going to get more usage in the warmer weather, so you're going to need more barrels. But all the off-site locations too that would go along with it. And I know in the past, street department used to handle a lot of the barrels in the business district. I don't know how it's functioning now, but I think we do have some areas that could use a little bit more, even in the colder weather. Maybe not as much as the winter, but that whole stretch, as I mentioned before, has 0 barrels for anybody. Thank you.
Councilor Yem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to echo my colleagues, Councilor Robinson, regarding the overflow trash barrel. I know for a fact North Commons, where the baseball field and also basketball field is overflow, and it attracting a rodent because it has not been empty. And here's my my question to Ms. Rose or Assistant City Manager. I know it takes money, but in some cities they have a GPS tracking or some sort of device that will be part of the trash barrel. So if the issue overflow, it will alert whoever the person responsible. So I know this is a future things, but if we down the road, part of the budget, kind of look into it and schedule it and start to implement, because as we know that the city of Lowell population have grown dramatically, and we're going to have more housing. 800 units going to be built. It's going to be more people in parks and roadways. So by keeping our city clean, removing trash, it beautification of the city, also reduce the rodent that we would, as a city council, try to pass a motion to reduce it and ask the homeowner to throw away the trash so that there will be no rodent. But here we are as a city, we need to also do what we preach as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the administration. One thought I've often had about the barrels when they're overflowing is it'd be great if there was something on a barrel that said who it was responsible for. Who was responsible for it, rather. Whether it's a city barrel versus a national park barrel versus a barrel that a company or store has out front. And one thing I thought of was maybe this is something we can tie into 311. Maybe we can somehow put QR codes on a barrel and somebody can zap the QR code with the phone and send a text message to 311 or whatever and say, barrel 4387 is overflowing. And then on the back end, we know that barrel 4387 is at the North Common next to the swimming pool, right? And we can move barrels, we can update those locations, and it's just a way of, it's not GPS, it's not, something that may need to be maintained other than an actual QR code on a barrel. It's just a thought. I don't know if that's something we can accomplish, but something to look at. Thank you.
Motion response B, Dover Street Basketball Court by myself and Councilor Chow. I did get the response. Hopefully something can be done by spring, summertime. I think court's in tough shape, so thank you for the response. Motion response C, Pine School illegal dumping. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am pleased with the cleanup that's taken place that when I filed the motion back in September or October, I believe. It's been a nice cleanup. Landscaping's been done, and there's a big pile of cement blocks dumped, and that's been cleaned up. So I am pleased, but this is an area that has become problematic, and I'd still, in the end, like to see some sort of cameras and perhaps more profound signage, if at all possible. Mr. Mayor, through you to the Assistant City Manager, if this is at all possible, maybe some cameras would help with signage. Perhaps that would prevent further dumping. So, just a request. Thank you very much.
Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Assistant City Manager Machado or to CFO Baldwin. Do you know if those cameras came in? Because at the time this came up, they weren't in. Did they all come in?
We have 7 up, different locations in the city, and we have more coming.
So they all came in. The eighth one is there's only one that didn't come in yet. The eighth.
I think there's more than that, but there's 7 that are currently up.
Okay.
I thought 13.
Yeah.
Right.
2 phases.
Sorry, we bought cameras in 2 phases. So the initial 7 all came in and are installed in a variety of locations, and those are in use and functioning. And then we did a second purchase of additional cameras, and those are still not fully installed yet.
Do we know when they're coming?
In a few weeks. We know the locations where we intend to install them, and now it's just a matter of working with the vendor. It's the same vendor who did the first installation, and the same folks who the police department works with, so all of these are going to be tied together. And so we're in the process of just actually scheduling the installation, but we have all of the locations identified for the second phase of installation as well.
And the cameras are in stock, obviously, if they're ready to put them in.
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Robertson.
Just briefly through you, Mr. Mayor, to Assistant City Manager. What is the feedback you're getting from the 7 that are installed? Are they the department's finding them helpful?
Mr. Shadow.
So far, we haven't tracked everything. We've had some problems with where to put them exactly to get the best location of the license plate. So it's like a work in progress. I don't think we've caught anybody yet, but we're working on it, and eventually it will. As soon as we find a better location or a better spot to pick up the license plate, I think it'll be a great thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Dakota, second by Councilor Getchia. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.2, communication to appointment of David Daly to a Citizen Advisory Committee. Motion to adopt by Councilor Janess, second by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow. Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Janess.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott. Councilor Yem.
Yes.
6.3, communication and reappointments to various boards and commissions. I have 4 of them. Andrew Hostetler, Council on Aging. Richard Demers, Council on Aging. Aurora Erickson, Historical Board. and Michael Brennan to the Retirement Board. Need a motion to adopt by Council Mercia, second by Council Robinson. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow, Counsel Dakota.
Yes.
Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janice.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott. Counsel Young.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9, petitions 9.1, 2 claims of property damage. Motion to refer to Law Department for report and recommendation by Council Robinson, second by Council Noon. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 9.2, Sarah Singh, request City Council to ban city restaurants from giving out plastic cutlery, containers, and bags. Not here. All right, we'll let that fly. Miscellaneous 9.3, Sunbuth Chum, request city consider absorbing the easement adjacent to my property located at 45 Lincoln Parkway. Motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation by Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Yem. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 10, announcements.
Mr. Mayor, may I just make a quick comment on that?
The Vice Mayor fully supports this. Councilors. Okay, yeah. 10, announcements. Any? Motion to, okay, Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to thank the council for the really successful dedication for Mickey O'Keefe last 2 Saturdays ago. Well attended, and thank you very much.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Noon. Good evening.